What's going on, everybody? It has been an extremely active day with the headlines coming out from the Middle East. We're going to recap what kind of trades you could have taken today and how it played out. So looking at the ES chart here, looking at our original trade plan from this morning, we said holding above 60.40, we were going to look for 72 and 102. We actually just hit that 102 target after hours because of the potential ceasefire headlines coming out. I can't get a straight answer on this. There's just back and forth on Twitter. Some people are saying there is a ceasefire. Some people are saying there's no confirmation. I have no idea. The market looks like, as of right now, there is a ceasefire. The market is pricing it in. It looks like it's pushing up, obviously, since that headline did come out. But like I said, no clue. We'll see what happens tomorrow when those confirming headlines come out. To the downside, we were looking for holding below 6,006. We're going to look for 59.80 and 59.60. We did not hold below 606, so our bearish trade plan was never triggered. We had one drop below that, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, because of those counterattack headlines, the retaliation headlines. Now, excuse my throat. It's Monday, but my throat's already shot. So, all right, moving forward here, let's take a look at the 1 minute chart. Actually, sorry, before we go on, let me go back to NASDAQ just to give you guys my trade plan for NASDAQ. Holding above 950, we were looking for 131 and 221. We are hitting that 221 level damn near to the tick on our after hours trading here. We did not stay below that 773 level, so we just pushed up for the rest of the day. Okay, so looking at how we could have traded this right out of the gate. So right out of the gate, as we talked about on our morning live stream, it did bounce off of VWAP. You had a very clean bounce off VWAP at 933. Wasn't as clean on NASDAQ. NASDAQ was actually pretty weak. And then you had a decent uptrend all the way until about 10:20 a.m. Eastern. And that's about when the headlines started coming out that there was going to be a retaliation. Iran was going to strike back at the U.S. bases in Qatar and Iraq. And they did. They launched some missiles, but they all were intercepted. There were no casualties. So it was kind of the best case scenario there. And as those headlines were coming out, the airspaces were being shut down. Pretty much everybody was looking out for that missile launch. And the missile launch, I don't remember exactly when it happened. I think it was somewhere around, it was around the bottom, actually. It was somewhere around like 12:30-ish. And they already priced in that entire move down with those headlines. And when you have those emotional headlines coming out, you want to keep an eye on those EMAs. Keep an eye on those 5-minute highs, lows, 30-minute highs and lows, because typically it is a pretty one-directional move. And we were staying below ZMAs pretty much the entire time until we bounced off the single prints, which this was, we bounced off VWAP, which was some single prints. There were single prints here around the 40s. I don't remember if this pullback filled in all the single prints on the first attempt or the second attempt. But there were single prints there. They did get filled in, tried to bounce off VWAP. The headlines coming in were just bombarding us with bearish headlines, just nonstop. So it stayed down. And then it held below the 24 EMA. Same thing on NASDAQ, breaking below VWAP. So you're basically one move down the entire way. And this was a value rotation, a value retrace, if you will. So as my trade plan said, staying above 40 or staying below 06. When there is a big gap between these levels, that is a rotation, that is a retrace. So from 40 to 06, we had a very good retrace down starting at 11 o'clock. So 11 o'clock, we had that hold below 40, retraced into 06, had a little bit of a spike below 06. You can see that wick right there, but it did not close below 06. Now, unfortunately, I had to leave my office at pretty much exactly when that happened. So I missed this entire move up, but I'm going to take a look at it and kind of analyze what you could have done. So funny enough, I actually just covered this in a tutoring session. but I'll recover it here. I was talking about this is a pretty much perfect bear flag into VWAP trade, but what is the one thing I always talk about with these bear flags into VWAP? I always talk about what you want to target. You want to target that prior low. And how you target that prior low is it needs to be one consistent movement from VWAP to that prior low. If the market structure breaks before it hits that prior low, that trade is dead. So right here, when the market structure begins to break and you push back into VWAP and then you bounce off the 24, that trade is dead. Because you are not in one consistent move going back to that low anymore. Okay. So that bear flag into VWAP trade, if you guys did take that, it was a good trade. In hindsight, obviously, it failed. But at the time, really good trade. There might have been a little bit too much bullish delta there. What time was that? That was 12:45. And that was around 27. Yeah, there was a lot of bullish delta there. So there might have been too much bullish delta there in hindsight. But at the time, didn't look too bad. Okay, after that, we bounced off the 24 EMA and then just started uptrending very aggressively. Delta was insanely strong to the upside. Look at all these delta clusters to the upside. Pretty much the entire way up, just one significant bullish delta trend. And then once we started to get to about 145 around this candle right here, you started seeing absorption. You had a massive amount of bullish delta on the high here, just tons of clusters back to back to back, even block trades. But you were not able to stay above those highs. You can see right here, the indicator on Addis, the stacked imbalance indicator, will draw these boxes when you have a very strong imbalance to the buy side or the sell side. There was a significant bullish imbalance on that high, but look at what it did. You could not hold above that level. You could not even break into that level. So that is where you started that vertical distribution. You started chopping out. And then you started pulling back, and that's where it just got choppy for the rest of the day. Because as you guys know, vertical distributions are very choppy. So once you started chopping against that trend, you needed to be very careful. There weren't a whole lot of good trades that I could see here. Even in hindsight, I don't really see anything. You would have basically had to follow the 30-minute lows or the 24 EMA the entire way up. And then this little spike on the after hours is from the potential ceasefire, which I still don't know if it's confirmed or not. They keep going back and forth on that. Another thing that you wanted to keep an eye on was during the day when, where was it? Let me go back even further. So around 12:30, oil started nuking. And if you go to 12:30 on ES, you got to ask yourself, why would oil be nuking when this conflict in the Middle East is like ramping up? The US just bombed Iran. Iran retaliates. Why is oil nuking? That it should be going up. The oil market was kind of the first one to tell you that this conflict is not as bad as people think. Because, like I said, oil would be going up if they assumed this conflict was going to be prolonged, if it was going to continue. And then look at oil today. The high of day was 78.40. We closed at 67. Just absolutely nuking. So they did not think that these headlines today were going to prolong this conflict in the Middle East, which is bullish for the indexes, right? So if you saw that nuke in oil starting at 1236, when did we bottom on ES? Yeah, we bottomed on 1237 on ES, so 1 minute later. So they were almost exactly the same. But as oil was nuking, that should have given you that kind of confirmation that ES and NASDAQ were going to continue. At least they were not going to go down because of these fears, right? The fear is gone. They don't care anymore. The market barely went down on the missile strike from the US. You can see right here, it gapped down, instantly recovered it, and it barely went down on the retaliation, instantly recovered it. The market does not care anymore. And oil is confirming that. Look at oil, as I just talked about. So with that said, we're going to call it there. One thing I wanted to note, guys, we hit 20,000 subs. I want to say thank you to all you guys that are subbing and watching these videos. I really appreciate you guys supporting my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. If you guys just type in the comments below, what should you type? Put a stock that you guys are currently looking at. Let me see what stocks you guys are currently trading. Just type the stock ticker that you guys are currently trading, and I'm going to choose a random subscriber from the comments to win a giveaway. I'm going to be doing a giveaway all week for hitting that 20K milestone. So just put a stock ticker in the comments and let me know why you guys are watching that stock. Maybe it's to do with the conflict. Maybe it's completely unrelated. Just put in a stock ticker. Let me know why you're watching it, and I'll take a look at them on stream tomorrow. And we'll randomly pick a subscriber to win a giveaway. And the giveaway will be most likely Discord access or something else. But all right, guys, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like the video. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.